Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dakota Brando channel. Today I am talking about Night of the Iguana, directed by John Huston. This is adapted from a Tennessee Williams screenplay, and you will know him from Streetcar Named Desire. He wrote that one, as well as The Glass Menagerie, the Cat on a Hot Tin Roof film starring Paul Newman, Suddenly Last Summer. Suffice to say, he is one of the best screenwriters of all time. And paired with John Huston, it is a match made in heaven. But this film is not what I expected. I thought it was going to be like a standard Tennessee Williams play, but this film challenges you. It asks questions about life, God, death, liberty, what it means to be in love. It's really, really hard to like, but when you sit with it after watching it, you'll come to love it. I'm talking about this film today because I feel like I haven't been challenged by a film like I have with this one. Without getting into anything that could get me demonetized, this film is about a man and how he goes through life just by his own ideas. He starts out as a minister. He is a man of God through and through the entire movie, played excellently by Richard Burton. And alongside him is Ava Gardner playing Maxine, the hotel manager that he hides with as he's part of a tour group, and the tour group goes off the rails after a woman accuses him of something, so he just drives them all to a hotel. Basically, it's a battlefield, and he drives to the home side of this battlefield, and he's able to wage the war against these angry women in this tour group with a home field advantage and on the friendly side. Alongside Ava Gardner is Deborah Kerr, Sue Lyon, Skip Ward playing Hank, Grayson Hall, Sarah Delvanty playing the older gentleman that is a poet, and they all reside at this hotel, the Rio Hotel. There is so much going on in this film that would take place nowadays. You could just transplant this story and put it into a story that could take place in 2024. You have the female manager of the hotel, played by Ava Gardner. She has two lovers, two boys. She calls them her beach boys, and so does everybody, and they're just fine with it. It's a throuple before throuples were really a thing, and she just takes pleasure in them and has fun. Seeing it this early on also prompted me to think of the idea of it being possibly the first new Hollywood film. You know, people talk about Bonnie and Clyde as the first Hollywood film, but I think we should take a look at Night of the Iguana. There is so much thoughts being put into this, so much deep thinking, so many things that people probably wouldn't talk about around a dinner table in 1964. There's even a hint of homosexuality within Richard Burton's character that is not talked about, but it's hinted at. He just doesn't, act like every other guy. He's different, and I think that for what Bonnie and Clyde does for violence, this does for discourse. It's also about love and life, what it means to fall in love, what love looks like to you, and basically at the end of the movie and throughout, there's this older man in a wheelchair that is trying to remember this poem. He basically is going from room to room, being pushed around by Deborah Kerr's character, and at first, Richard Burton thinks, well, hey, this is just your kind of con. You're just charging people money for this supposed great poet that doesn't really remember anything. He's almost 100, and he doesn't do much during the film, and then has a climactic scene at the very end. Truly great acting from everybody. It's so much more than just a film that you just eat popcorn with. You really have to sit with it. You really have to, you're in that world for a bit. It's almost like a Richard Linklater hangout film, but done in the early 60s. And John Huston, of all people, who was famous for making Sierra Madre and the Maltese Falcon, and throughout his career, he's really just blown me away with Fat City in the 70s. But we really should look at this movie again. There is really challenging parts of it that make you cringe and want to look away. It's almost uncomfortable. This is so much inspired by New Wave Cinema, or New Wave Cinema saw this and took it and ran, because you have these really deep ideas that really plague humanity. Like, you know, what happens after we die? What's the point of life? You know, when you lose your faith in God, where do you go from there? It really is an incredible film that needs to be seen to be believed. The reason I'm talking about it is because I didn't know much about it. I love Tennessee Williams. He is one of my favorites for sure. And I knew about Streetcar Named Desire. I knew about Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, but I didn't know about Night of the Iguana. And the title kind of, it doesn't really, it makes sense when you see the film, but when you're thinking about it, when you're picking that up off the shelf, Night of the Iguana is not the first thing you go to. So this is possibly, and I am saying this even with Streetcar in mind, this may be Tennessee Williams' best screenplay. So please make sure to check out Night of the Iguana, directed by John Huston, 1964. And remember, watch those films, baby. Have a great day, and thank you for watching the Dakota Brando channel.